So welcome to the next video tutorial. This one's on the Cashdrawer. Now, a couple things that need to be known before you start the Cashdrawer. Under Tools, under General Settings, you're going to find various elements. Let's go into Store Setting too. But there is a setting for the drawer number. Okay, and also if you want to use automatic cash drawers, this will automatically pop the drawer open, and this is in Store Settings, Use Automatic Cash Drawer. You got to turn that on. Then the other thing that needs to be modified, and let's see if it's under Ticket Settings, but there's a setting specifically for the cash drawer station number. Here it is. It's under Ticket Settings. It's called Drawer Number for this station. So if you have multiple computers and you want them to separate their cash drawers so you can have separate reports, the next thing you'll need to do is under the back office, under Staff Manager, you will have to make sure that whoever needs to get to the cash drawer has cash drawer enabled. So enable cash box, all right? That will allow you to get to the cash box or cash drawer screen under counter duties. So you'll see that there's a cash drawer option on the left, and also if they have dashboard access, and this is a major access, then there is a cash drawer option right there. So if we go into Cash Drawer, basically I've set up a scenario where I picked up a ticket with cash, check, credit card, and placed the ticket on account. I've done an adjustment and I've entered the starting cash. Okay. So whenever somebody picks up a ticket and uses cash as the payment type, it'll come in here and put the ticket number, their name. There is more information over here on the right, such as the account number and the date that it went out. But it'll show the paid amount, how much was paid in cash in the paid field. Then you'll see under check the ticket total and if there's anything due. That's very important. So if they underpay something, you'll see things in the due column. But under check, you'll also notice that there's also a reference, which is the check number that was submitted. If they pay by credit card and the credit card was approved, then you'll see the amount there. Placed on account, same thing. Down at the very bottom, you'll notice total cash, total credit cards, total checks, and then how much was placed on account. And then there's an unpaid column, which is basically the total of the due, and that's the number. You'll see the starting cash is $100 and adjustments. We made an adjustment of $10. So you can, if there is a mistake, they pick up something by mistake, you're going to have to delete the cash drawer record, and then you're going to have to go back to the ticket and change the status from obviously picked up back to ready. So it's a couple things. On the very top, you're going to see that there's a search area. What appears in the cash drawer grid are basically all the transactions that don't have a Z-out date. Okay, the Z-out date is basically an indicator of the date that all these transactions are Z'd out on. So one of the examples I want to give you is you don't have to Z out every night, and it doesn't have to be at the very end of the day, because when you Z out, basically everything that's not been Z'd out, even from previous days, will be batched in with that Z out date. It's kind of a batch. Okay. So for instance, let's say it's Tuesday night, and on Tuesday night we're going to Z out the drawer at 5 o'clock. So you Z out the drawer at 5 o'clock, you enter your starting cash for the next day, and then suddenly at 5:30 somebody comes in and picks something up. Well, even though that's on, let's say, a Tuesday, it's not actually going to be part of the Tuesday end of day report, because you're going to, when you Z out on Wednesday, it's going to pick up everything from previous days that have not been Z'd out. So that's an important concept to remember. So let's say today, let's say it's 5 o'clock, and we have all these transactions. First thing we want to do is run the end of day report. The end of day report will run against all the transactions that have not been Z'd out. That's very important, because the moment you Z out, then you won't be able to go back and get this end of day report from previous days. So I can go Z end of day report, and it's going to ask you for the cash total, and it's going to ask you for the check total. So basically you're going to open, the drawer is going to open automatically, and you're going to count all the cash, and then you're going to count all the checks, and then you're going to run the report. Now, the report will print to the small printer and email automatically to the manager. Now, if you remember, we have 104.48 for cash, 520 for check, we have credit card, and we're placing on account 39. So let's go open up email. So I made myself basically the manager of this store. So we're going to go ahead and see that I've got a report that came in slave 1, and it's 7:26 at 2:34, which is what time it is. Now you'll notice that at the very top, the AR payments, so there's a total of $39.80 that's been placed on AR on account. Okay. No coupons were done today. Starting cash of $100. In fact, you see that right there. Okay. You could see that there was adjustments. So let's move this over a little bit. You could see that the adjustments were $10. So the manager came in and grabbed $10 and went and bought lunch. The total cash was $214.48. Now when I counted the drawer, I counted 104.48, which means I miscounted. Okay, so there's basically the money from starting cash and the adjustment I didn't count. Okay, so I made an adjustment of $10, which basically said that I'm now short $110. That $110, you could tell, is I didn't add the starting cash and I didn't add the adjustment. Okay, so this should always be 0, otherwise they did it wrong, and then they simply have to go back and recount the drawer or find out if there's issues. Total checks are very simple. Their short is 0. So I said there were 520, and the computer says there should have been $5.20 in checks, which, by the way, reminds me that the total cash up here is what the computer says should be in the drawer. Okay. You can see this is the deposit. So when I go to the bank, there was a total cash of $214.48. There was starting cash of 100. So we're going to take the 100 out before we do our deposit to the bank at the end of the day and put it back in the drawer. So we always subtract the starting cash. The cash deposit for today is going to be $114.48. $114.48. Now, why is that? It's because the adjustment was done with a positive number, so it basically added to the drawer. He found $10 on the floor and he added it to the cash drawer. So there was an adjustment. So the total cash was 104, but then there was an adjustment made. Somebody threw in $10 extra, and the checks are $5.20. So the deposit going to the bank is right here, $119.68. Now your credit card total should have totaled $11. So if you actually go and open up the credit card website, you'll see there should have been $11 in credit card payments made today. Down here, you get your payment types. So you get your cash, that's your total cash. You get your checks, your card, your on account, and then over here, that shows a total of $270.06. And without accounts, because this is really paper money until they start paying you, you have $230.68. Okay. Now this also includes starting cash, so you got to remember that. Now down here at the bottom of this report, you're going to see that they're just a summary of all the classes. So if you took items from the orders, now these class summaries do not include environmental fee, taxes, discounts. Okay, this is just, hey, how many sales did I make in alteration, dry cleaning, household, laundry? Now, in addition to that, then you have to look at each ticket and say, oh, well, this one got 10% off, et cetera, et cetera. So, and there were tax on some of these environmental fees. This is your piece count. So, you know, 42 pieces came in today. Most of them dry cleaning. There's one alteration, couple household and laundry. So that's your end of day report. Now, once you run that report and everything balances, at the end of the day, you want to Z out. So you click the second button and you say yes. That's Z'd out. Okay? Now, that only Z'd out for cash drawer number 1. There's your drawers. Like if I go to cash drawer number 2, there's nothing there because I don't have one. But if I was in a store that had 2 computers and 2 cash drawers, then you would have to run the end of day for each cash drawer and Z out each cash drawer. So let's go back to 1. Now, after that's done, I'm going to enter my starting cash for the next day. So I'm going to go put $100 back in the drawer, hit save, and now there's $100 starting cash, and we're all ready for the next day. Okay? So basically, that's it. That's your cash drawer management. To do an adjustment, it's very important. If you want to take money out, you got to use a negative number. So after you do adjustment, it'll say enter how much, say a negative number. Refunds basically work the other way, that if you got to refund something to a customer, it's like an adjustment, but it just goes in as a refund, so you keep track of adjustments. If you ever need to manually open the drawer, just click open drawer. And if there's a transaction that should not have been made, you can just select the transaction and click delete row, and it'll get rid of that transaction. Now, on top of this, we have put a convenient link for the reports. So if you go to reports, you can run your cash drawer history report by date range. Okay, now that's going to be by date out. Okay, there's also a payment type summary by date out. So I can get a summary by cash, check, charge for an entire week and an entire month. Okay, so you can do it by range. There's the end of the day history report that's also done by date range. Class summary, payment summary, credit card report, and there's also a cash box detail report by date range. And let me give you an example. Once you click the button, you do have some options. You can set date range, so I can basically run this report, which is the cash box detail for an entire week, for a month, or for a couple days. But let's just do it for one day. I can email that report to the manager, because all reports have an email option, and that will send the report to the manager as a PDF attachment. Cancel, or you can hit preview. And Follow To also has the addition of an edit report. So if you ever want to customize your report and start getting into adding columns, changing columns, there's an edit report that'll pop up. But let's do a preview. It's going to say, do you want to run? We're going to say yes. And you can see that this report is a little more detailed. It shows all the adjustments and gives you a total. All the cash gives you a total. Shows the ticket amount, who picked it up, how much was actually paid. That's what we're looking for here. Okay. and then it shows by check, and then credit card, and then placed on account. So you have a total dollar amount for each day that you want to run this, and that's a pretty powerful report. Let's close that and go to the end of day reports. Some new reports that have been added are of course, the credit card report. I want to see all the credit cards that process because I'm not balancing, so I need to do that. This will give you an end of day, but it'll summarize by all the stations. There's these new reports, which is in today report, which is basically a sales report, and let's run that and show you what that looks like. So the in today report, and you can do this by range. So basically you can run it for an entire week, for an entire month, and it'll break up by day the tickets that actually came in today. So in today is a summary of the tickets that came in today. Okay, so basically there's $273.63 in tickets that came in today, and out of those tickets, 182 was prepaid. It gives you a total quantity of each ticket and a total quantity of 31 pieces. Okay, so this also shows that these were all, the ones that came in today were paid, but they were paid by cash. Okay, and if they were paid by check or charge, that would be on there. SP means same day prepay. So these came in today and today were prepaid, meaning that these dollar amounts are going to show up in today's deposits, okay, not yesterday's. And you'll see that you won't get an SP if it's prepaid from previous days. Okay, in fact, it doesn't calculate that as your in today input. So there is an out today. That's the things that were picked up today. Let's go take a look at that one. And the out today is the same thing. These are all the things that have been picked up. It shows the account, shows how much were paid, and the ticket amounts. So everything that went out today was fully paid because these $2 match. And this is how many pieces went out today. Okay, so that's a pretty powerful report. The Z out report connects to the date that you Z out. So if we want today's report, because we Z'd out, although I believe we Z'd out twice today, but let's take a look at this. Yeah, we Z'd out twice today. So when you Z out twice today, because you'll notice at the Z out that we did were basically these last 4 or 5 lines down here. But what this does is you really should Z out once a day. And when you Z out, that Z out date will batch everything together. If you Z out twice in the same day, then what you're going to do is you're going to merge. It'll merge the Z outs into one Z out batch for that day that you could pull up the detail on. And you'll see ticket account, paid amount, ticket amount. So we Z'd out twice today, and you can see that the total paid was 1,781. Okay, even though the ticket total came to 2,000, that's because a number of these tickets were picked up but not paid or partially paid. In theory, you want these two to match. So let's go ahead and close that. So those are some good ones. This one here is an item summary by date range. So if you want to see the exact items by grouped by item, and so how many dresses, how much money did we make in blouses and jackets, and then the payment summary. And these have direct to the printer, or you can preview, or these actually have email options, but that's on all of them. So that's our cash box, Cashdrawer module. And as you can see, it's pretty simple to use. You just need to remember, run the end of day, do your Z out, run whatever reports you want, and then enter your starting cash for the next day. So everything's kind of listed in order. And we'll see you in the next video. And thank you very much for joining us.